Okay, you're all set.
All right, thank you, Dana. Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Rogers, Chair of the Appropriations Committee. I'd like to call the Appropriations Committee meeting for September 15th, 2025 to order at 6:03 p.m. This meeting is being conducted remotely in accordance with the provisions of the open meeting law. It will be streamed live and recorded. Because we are remote, all votes taken this evening will be by roll call. Before we begin, I will confirm the presence of the Appropriation Committee members participating remotely. As I call your name, please state your name and confirm that you can hear and be heard. George Brinkle. Got to find that mute button.
Oh, sorry. Here. And I can hear everybody.
We can hear you. Thanks, George. Tim Kalen.
Here.
We got you there. Terry Halloran.
Here, and I can hear everybody.
Thanks, Terry. Jeff Knight.
I am here and I can hear everyone as well.
Thank you, Jeff. And Mona Wallace.
Here, and I could hear everybody.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody being able to join today. If we switch over to the agenda, just in case we do put public comments. If there's anybody that'd like to make a public comment, I'll just recognize, staff members and guests as well. So my apologies. We also have Stephanie Bacon, Town Administrator.
Hello.
Jason Little, Finance Director.
Present.
And John Rappa, Chair of the Financial Planning Committee.
Good evening.
Thank you. All right. So now if there's any public comments, raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll get right into the next agenda item, which is the approval of meeting minutes. We do have in our packet the short minutes from just before town meeting on April 28th. The minutes for July 14th and August 26th are not ready at this time, so we'll defer those to a later meeting. Is there a motion on the approval of the meeting minutes for April 28th?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes from the April 28th meeting.
Thanks,
As
Terry.
presented.
Any second?
Second by Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Any discussion or further comments on those? Those are pretty short and sweet. Good stuff. And on this, Mona, you weren't a member at the time, so you can just vote to abstain if that's appropriate. So I'll take a roll call vote on the minutes. George?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Jeff? One more time, Jeff. It might not have come off of mute. And go one more time, Jeff. The mic is off muted.
Aye.
There we go. Now I can hear you. And Mona.
Abstain.
And Scott is an aye. That is 501. Oh, was there a question, Jeff?
Apologies, I was talking to my son.
Okay, no problem. I understand you're mobile and trying to juggle that bit. Thank you. Now for the main topic for discussion, as we've got a couple articles that will be in front of us for review and recommendation in support of the special town meeting scheduled for November 3rd. Let me turn that over to Steph and Jason to walk through the memo and the background and what we have so far.
Sure. I'll start off. I mean, hopefully everybody had a chance to read the memo that was provided in the packet from staff detailing the multiple contracts that are being negotiated with the winner of the RFP that was selected to be the most advantageous, which was Elegant Banquets. Hopefully there's no confusion. We updated the memo that went onto the link today that was emailed out today. The only thing that changed was the information that was being negotiated around the TIF agreement. So we have the select board has called a special town meeting for November, and we're backing into a pretty tight timeline to have these informational meetings and have people weigh in and opine on the various agreements. But this is the status of where we are with the negotiations, and there will be 3 articles. There's a rezoning to make the property allowed to be used for what they're intending to use it for. There was going to be an article for the TIF, and then there's going to be an article to approve the conveyance of the lease to the third party, to the outside party, which is Elegant Banquets. So they will all be basically contingent on each other passing in order for the deal to move forward. And I think unless there's any questions about each one of the elements of that that memo, that's all I have, Scott.
Okay, Stephanie, any more you want to add to that in terms of the status of the negotiations, how close
Yes.
we are to completion, and what we expect to have the final documents for the actual documents for review?
So literally 20 minutes ago, I just received their attorney's comments back, and it looks great. There's nothing earth shattering. There's some questions on insurance. There's some questions on a security deposit. But as far as the terms that Jason just discussed, those remain the same. So it looks like we're well on our way, and everything looks great. We're going to have our attorney review. She just received it and sent it right out to me. So she said, let me review. We'll touch base tomorrow and, just go back with any comments or concerns from our point of view. But other than that, things are going just as we planned. So.
Okay, so even though there's some finalization to do, the financial terms of the agreements have solidified. They're no longer moving, as I
Correct.
understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So your memo repeated the memo from Dave repeated the main points from the lease agreement and then provided an update on the TIF agreement.
Absolutely.
Is there any members that have not had a chance to look at this and need an additional kind of walkthrough or explanation of some of the terms? That looks pretty good. Thank you for everybody for reading that latest one. So let me go around then and see if any of us have additional questions. Obviously, we're going to need the full documents to review to be able to provide a full report. But we'll open it up and we'll go through and get whatever or identify what additional information we might need to make a decision that'll help plan our subsequent meetings and the timeline for that. So let me hand it over to you, Jeff, first for any comments or questions.
Thanks, Scott. First of all, I think Stephanie's select board and you did a great job negotiating these terms. I might have asked this before and I just can't remember, but with the TIF, I can't recall if the tax is if it's waived or deferred, meaning that because in the first 2 years it's 100%. So if for instance, let's say just worst case scenario, in the first 2 years, Elegant Banquets goes belly up and they go into bankruptcy. Because I've practiced bankruptcy law before, and there's a priority proof of claim. We file a proof of claim for tax liability. We have a higher priority than other creditors. So do those taxes come back if they fail to perform under the lease? So if they breach the lease, do those come back under the TIF, or are they just waived? Are they gone?
Well, we do have protection in what we put forth. If they were to, there's a whole clause, I'm pulling it up right now. If they were to abandon the property, and the insurance is actually based on that, based on abandonment. So let's see, where is it? It's a very long lease.
And that might be something for the town's council. And it could come up at town meeting. So that's why I'm also
Yeah,
just wondering
absolutely.
what's the nature of the actual tax dollars that are either are they forgiven? Are they waived? Are they deferred? Are they
So right
conditional?
now if everything goes, copacetic, they're building within the first couple of years, making their renovations, then it is tax-free.
Mhm. Right.
And then, within the third year, that's when we start assuming taxes. There
Right.
is, let's see, premium repairing construction, alteration improvements. That is so odd. I cannot find that part. Insurance. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of insurance policies we're asking for, but there is a whole section on abandonment and
But this is something that you all contemplated and discussed, and is something that you've seen
yes, yep.
and
Oh, here it is. Abandonment of use, except during construction of improvements, tenant covenants and agrees to continuously and uninterruptedly use the premises for permitted use. If the premises shall be abandoned or vacated, being referred to as discontinuance of operations, landlord shall have the right to terminate the lease and recover exclusive possession of the premises by written notice to tenant. I'm just seeing where it says operating. Lease shall terminate. Yeah, and then I guess the rest follows under the insurance clauses. If, for instance, at the security bond that we had, and they did have questions on the security bond. But for instance, if their contractor was in the middle of work and they just, moved out and we had some, mess on our hands and, which prevented us from being able to sell or lease, they would have to cover the cost. But I know they did have a question on the security bond. And I just looked through this, like I said, 20 minutes ago.
We can-
I don't want to hijack the meeting, but if you can get back to me on
Yeah, I
that,
definitely will.
that would just be helpful to know. And then, and I'm just assuming I saw the liquor license contingency. We won't have a problem with that, right? Getting them their liquor license, I assume.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
No,
I saw
that's
that. Okay.
easy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I will note that though.
Anything else, Jeff?
No, that was my only concern. I was just wondering that worst case scenario, but I thought the terms looked pretty fair. And I thought pretty favorable, given what we've been going through the last several years. So, that was all I had when I read it.
Sounds good. Thanks for that. Tim, let me go to you next.
First of all, I'm just happy that somebody is going to do something with that building. That
I
something
know.
positive is going to come from this, and hopefully everybody in the community can benefit. The only question I had was, who from the town is going to manage this relationship with the tenant? If things go sideways, if they're late on the rent, like who's going to be the bad guy from the town to make sure that they have all the insurances to
That's me.
that will fall on your plate, and it's not
Yes, and
excessive
I
to
have
what
no
you're already
problem.
doing.
These people are, it's just, an amazing relationship so far. They're very easy to work with. They're realistic. They're open-minded from both sides. So far, it has been a great working relationship, and I do not foresee anything. They just actually sent me today the La Chateau, which is in New York, that resembles White Cliffs. They had the most nicest message from one of their clients that, just recently had an event there about their professionalism, this, that, and the other thing. And I said, oh, good, I can't wait for White Cliffs to have that feedback as well. But they are great people to work with, just top notch. I do not foresee anything happening, but that's why we're protecting ourselves just in case. That's what the lease is for.
Yeah, in my experience in the private sector, relationships always start great. And
Right.
once money
Yeah.
gets involved and somebody needs money from somebody else, they can turn pretty bad pretty quick.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
and that's why it's
so,
important to put everything in a contract. Yep.
Yeah, just, want to make sure that the town um has somebody that's open and willing to be the heavy hand to represent the town when needed.
Yes, yeah, and of course we always have counsel.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you.
you're welcome.
We'll continue to go around the Brady Bunch squares here. George, any questions or comments?
Nope.
And Terry, any questions?
Yeah, maybe just, I mean, I assume that we'll get a chance to read the document before we have to
Yeah,
opine.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. Scott, do you have a set date to meet again?
We haven't set those schedules yet. 'Cause
Okay,
it's not clear-
because since I just got their comments, tomorrow, hopefully she'll get back to, well, we have to discuss first their concerns and see where we're going and what direction, but, after that, it's, I mean, I could send you what I have now. I don't mind at all, but it's just not finalized. That's the only thing.
I think it's good, given that, we saw some movement just in the TIF in a couple days. Let's give you time to settle, finalize before we're making those updates more publicly available.
Right, okay.
And just, but just some things that weren't included in the memo of some of the terms that I'd be curious about.
Mhm.
Among them would be, and you've mentioned that you've alluded to, there's some sort of security deposit or bond
Yes.
performance.
Yep,
Let me just kind of go through the list. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
yep.
The It's a really long lease. So what are the terms regarding assignment and subletting?
Yep, then there's no subletting allowed.
Okay, and can they assign and they can
Nope.
they can't
Nope.
assign it.
Nope.
So I wasn't around when the select board approved them as the best party. Jason, could you highlight for us just a little bit about their financial wherewithal? How well capitalized are they? I mean, it's a 40-year lease, and depending upon what the performance and remedies are in event of breach, sometimes you can get yourself into a pickle on these things. So. Especially if it's a privately held family business. I mean, those aren't going to be around for 40 years, potentially. Just would love to hear a little bit more background about their financial and their capitalization structure.
But through the chair, I just wanted to mention that I think we set the deadline of the public information session of having the final, or the completed contracts available for that meeting. Like, so we're not going to be waiting in perpetuity for them to continue being negotiated. The terms, the terms that are laid out in the memo, you'll see those being in the actual documents by the public information session. That information, Terry, from what I understood, there was two bidders on the parcel, and this was the much more
I
economically
understand that,
sound
but
of the
nonetheless, it
two.
would be good to
Correct.
know how well
Yeah,
capitalized are they? Can they
that
really afford
information,
this? Are there going to be
I'm
any
pretty sure
issues,
that.
et cetera?
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure all that information was submitted as part of the evaluating the RFPs at the time. I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, so would I be able to go find that on the selectmen's website?
I believe so. I'd have to look for it for myself. I don't have it in front of me, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's included in the the
Because I
submissions.
remember I
a
saw
little
that you
prior
had
to
like,
them.
There was a pro
there
forma.
was a brief
Yeah.
PowerPoint prepresentation.
Yep.
I mean,
I-
have we done real financial due diligence?
I mean, so they have 5 like venues. And they've been around since the 80s. They've never once sold their property to anyone. They're still owners. Um, like I said, a lot of them are very similar. They're historic in nature, high-end
Understand
wedding
all that.
events.
I understand how all that fits.
Yeah.
How are they financed? They're going to spend $12 million. Do they have the bank? They have a bank lined up?
Yep.
Do they have
They do.
excess
We have
cash?
a whole pro forma list. So we will be able to give you that as well.
Okay, because it's just I feel like I'm flying blind a little bit in terms of being able to provide a financial recommendation without, really knowing a whole bunch of the capital structure and clearly until we see the actual lease documents.
Well, Terry, that's a very reasonable question and request for information. So, I mean, part of this is this timeline. It's when I said it was a tight timeline, we're trying to get some of this discussion going to see what sorts of questions a committee like the Appropriations would have, so that we can move into address those concerns by the public information session on the 22nd.
Yeah, the more questions, the better. If you guys think of anything else that anyone could ask, at least we can get ahead of.
So I'd be happy to write up a memo for you, Stephanie, as to what my overriding concerns might be that I would be asking about.
Mhm.
I probably won't be able to make the public information session on the 22nd. But I'd be happy to provide some leading questions, as it were, prior to my travel schedule.
That would be great.
Yeah, let's proceed that way. Terry, if you could form those questions, and then Jason and Steph, if you can answer and then provide that back, the answers back and to the committee, that would be good on that. I guess I would say John Rappa and I had the benefit of participating in one of the executive sessions with the select board. And there was discussion during that about the health and quality of the business, not quantitatively, which is what Terry's getting at, but more qualitatively, like we've talked about. And John, I don't know if you want to, and Steph, make sure we tread carefully on that, but I don't think we're at risk of harming any negotiations. But I think the select board was very bullish on the health of the organization, how quickly they should be able to maneuver and turn around their investments to have them a thriving business. I don't know if I'm
Yeah, I would concur with that, Scott. A follow-on to Terry to add to your list is, have we done a D&B? Have we done a credit history with them in addition to the pro forma they sent us? Add that to your list, Terry.
Sure.
And a follow-on to Jeff's comment about if there is an abandonment, certainly after 2 years, there's got to be leasehold improvements that we would take over, plus whatever security deposit or whatever is there. So we have some recourse, I would think. And that these are the types of things I would think people would ask in questions at a public session or the actual special town meeting.
Yes, yeah.
Mona, let me give you a chance then for questions, comments.
Kind of agreeing with Terry for like wanting to see more information, but my main question was, and I might have missed it, is there a time period for renegotiating this lease? Because I did look it up and they've been in business for 39 years, so this will be like a very long stretch in addition for them. They must have big plans.
Yeah, well, we have the option to purchase after 10 years. So that's their likely route because they own every other one of their properties. Never mind, after putting millions of dollars into the property, I'm sure they're going to want to call it theirs at that point.
And then second question would be, was there a vote? Like, was this presented to the town in some way? Was the town provided
So-
with this information as of yet?
Well, at last town meeting, we
Yeah.
asked for the voters to vote on whether or not, they'd allow this to go through a TIF agreement and for us to lease. And they basically said, come back to us after we'll allow the select board to, the request for proposal to go through. That happened. Once you find your person, come back to us at the next town meeting, or in this case, a special town meeting. And it will be up to the voters to say yes or no to the lease. But the important part is we're doing all this due diligence now. We're going to have, 2 public information sessions. We're having a tour on Friday for residents. But when it comes to town meeting, whatever we have at that point in time, that is what they're voting on. There's no changes on the floor. It's either yes or no.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you need anything, I'm here. Just let me know how I can help.
No, thank you so much.
Stephanie, could you just describe a little bit about their right to purchase? How would that number come to be negotiated? Is there a formula in the?
Well, at that point in time, so 10 years from now, that is when they'd have to put together, but it's written in the lease that they have to cover any of the town's costs, whatever money the town has put into the building at this point in time. So we know we purchased the building for 2.4 million with, all costs. So at a minimum, it would have to cover that amount, but that's why we're not making any, real detailed numbers in here, because who knows, in 10 years, the value of that building
So
might
it
be.
wouldn't be based upon a mutually agreeable appraisal by an outside party, or I guess we could probably insist upon that in terms of getting town meeting approval.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, they're going to say, we put on the new ballroom, these
Yeah.
are the costs that we.
And what's the total amount that they anticipate investing in the structure?
I would say they're anticipating 8 million. It could be a little higher. And they're working with also historic preservation consultants as well, due to our restriction.
And could you just describe a little bit about how this historic New England, they're going to hold a deed? I don't understand the mechanism there.
So I know it's very odd. So I just thought, there would be a company, they would say, yep, we'll hold your deed, but they don't do that until after everything has been done. So basically, Elegant Banquets needs to talk to associates at Historic New England, and they go through their plans, what their intentions are, what they're going to use for the exterior of the building, what they're going to do to change the ballroom and how it's going to connect. So all of these terms are set and agreed upon between the prospective deed restriction holder and Elegant Banquets. At
So
that,
we're gonna transfer. We have the deed to the property today.
it will always have it, but there will be a lien, if you will, on the property, and it's that preservation lien.
So they're not getting a deed. We're gonna allow them to have a lien on our property.
Yes, so it's in perpetuity, so it doesn't matter if we sell it to Elegant Banquets, the deed restriction stands. If they sell it to somebody else, the deed restriction stands. It's forever. It's a forever deed restriction because we entered into this by utilizing CPA funds. And the intention of townspeople was to preserve this building. So
Well, I think if you ask them today, they might say differently, but whatever.
I know, but the only way it's going to end is if the building burns down. That's it.
Well, we've had that happen in town before too, so.
I know. Yep. So basically they'll work with Elegant Banquets. They photograph all of the new construction and what they're doing. They do this big portfolio. They index it, and then they would actually sign off as deed restriction holder.
To date is what restrictions are on the property?
So
Because
there's
we
none
don't
right
currently
now.
have a lien from Historic New England, right?
No, we have nothing yet. And actually, to tell you the truth, we should have had a deed restriction right when we utilized those CPA funds. It takes about 1, even 2 years sometimes, but I mean, that was 2016 when we purchased the property. It worked out in our favor though, because we, look at this person that wants to purchase it. It could have been something entirely different. It could have been a brewery, who knows?
I think, Jason,
I
you were
think
going
some
to
of
say
the,
the reason.
I was
for
going to
the-
say, I think some of the delay in filing the restriction for the deed was the specifics had to, the future use of the building was being considered at that point, that something we couldn't be written that was going to be overly restrictive, that wouldn't allow it for the use that was being proposed under this proposal. So that I think that was part of why there was a delay for the restriction being recorded.
But theoretically, we could sell 7 acres of land to anybody, correct?
Yeah, we would probably have to, I mean, we would have to make the CPA whole, I think, under those.
We
But
would.
but we could sell 7 acres at market value and pay back CPA
Yeah, I'm
and create
checking
income
some of those
producing
mechanics.
property.
But not sure we got an answer from council on all of those mechanics of what they would be today, of like what we would have to repay the CPA in terms
Okay.
of, but
Okay.
yeah, but in theory, that then the CPA would need to be made whole because we didn't follow through with the historic preservation of the property.
Okay. Thank you.
Steph, a couple questions on then taking that further on determining a purchase price. In your outline, it says CPA fund is used to acquire White Cliffs. In the actual document, do we also distinguish the additional CPA funds that's been used to repair, maintain, operate?
Yeah.
Is it more than just acquisition costs?
Yes, we do.
So again, Stephanie quoted the number 2.4 million. That was the article that the amount of the article from the CPA that was used to acquire the property. I think the acquisition cost was 1.7 million. And that's what we incurred debt for as through the CPA, which the CPA has paid all the debt service for the acquisition. But the rest of it was for the preservation. And in addition to that, I mean, I know there's an ARPA allocation for some I think it was approximately $40,000. I'm not sure if those come in and we would seek reimbursement of the day-to-day maintenance costs, like the electric bill and for the period of time that we owned
I think
it.
it'd be
So,
more of
Well-
some of the remediation costs, the tightening up the chimney, falling down, those kind of things that were additional projects.
right. And
Yeah.
those so far the general fund or the general fund portion of people's tax bill hasn't been impacted by the town owning this property. It's been either grant funds or the CPA that's been exposed to the property to this point.
I guess
Yeah.
what I'm saying is at the time, a full accounting of all the money that's been put into the project would be good to wrap into the purchase price.
We said at a minimum, cover the full amount of CPA funds used to acquire the property, along with any other major capital investments made by the town in connection with the premises.
I like the word any in that.
Huh?
I like the word any in that.
Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. And then for some of the previous analyses, pro forma estimates, back to the original White Cliffs Committee, some of the proposals we've seen, folks were relying on historic preservation tax credits.
Yes, they did not want to go that route. They've gone that route in the past on one of their other venues, and it takes too long. And these people are pretty, they want to go full bore into this, and hopefully within 2 years, have everything all set so they're, serving meals at a wedding. So
I'm sorry, Scott, before we get too far off topic, did you say any major renovations is the language in the lease say any major?
for option to buy,
Yeah,
it says it shall, it cover the full amount of CPA funds used to acquire the property along with any other major capital investments made by the town.
what does major mean? Did our town council want that word in there? What does major
Let-
mean?
Hold on, let me look to see if she changed it, because I just have the paper copy in front of me, but now I have the
Thanks, Jeff.
last,
I focused on any. I'm glad.
I don't know what major means. I don't
Yeah.
know.
okay, hold on.
I was
Lease,
trying to unmute Scott. That's why it took me a while to get in.
I know, okay. Premises, condition. Option to purchase, okay.
And some of this is getting into the details that would be part of a negotiation process
Sure.
11 years from now, but
Yeah.
No, you're right, yeah. Option to purchase, okay. Yeah. Terms set for, compliance with all terms including. Public. Okay, it said A. Any Community Preservation Act funds originally used to acquire the premises. B, any monies expended by the town as major capital investments in the premises. And C, other funds that are required to be repaid and that the town has expended related to the premises.
I don't know. I'll just ask town council to take a look at that.
Okay.
Words like that are just vague and don't typically show up in contracts because they're vague. I
Okay.
don't know what major means. You know what I mean? That's just saying a lot or a little. What does that mean?
Okay.
we've had the roof work done, the chimney work done,
Yeah,
projects like
those
that.
were that work was done within the 2.4 million that we discussed. I mean, that's beside the point. I mean, what gets reimbursed or not, but the purchase price was about 1.8 million, and like I said, the town has only expended the balance of that $2.4 million article from the CPA.
Okay. Yeah.
Stephanie, I know at one point there was in Elegant Banquet's proposal, there was mention of what they were hoping to see in terms of contributions from the town, either monies or kind of in-kind services to help them with grants.
Yes.
Can you share where that stands at the moment?
Yes, they understood. I said the select board is very apprehensive about agreeing to anything, especially in the terms of grants, because you don't know if you're going to be awarded a grant. And they were using that $1 million mark. So they said, we will not include anything in the lease. Basically, it will be, they haven't presented anything with me. I don't know if it's a handshake, but we will do whatever we can do to help them with any grants that they have. There was a discussion about, exempting them from building fees, which we did the math. It's not that much money. So yeah, I guess whatever we can do on our side, but it isn't legally contracted. It was initially supposed to be, but due to our concern on not being able to meet $1 million of that in grants or, other good faith efforts, they decided to take it out.
Okay. So then in a related item, we have in the capital improvement plan, the funding for the design work of the demolition of the additions.
I believe they are taking care of that. Not the design work, the demolition.
Right.
Yes.
So then the question becomes is whether we're looking to go forward with that as a project
I
design
would
work
say
or
yes to the
demolition?
design, and the demolition from there on would be them, but it depends on, that was another conversation we had, whether or not their architect, they could use the same architect that we use in the design study, because that would help them out financially, and it would help us out by getting closer to that $1 million number.
Yeah. Jason, do you recall the amount on that? Was that like
Oh, yeah. But
90?
I think it was like
93,940.
But I think that would
yeah,
be
it was $93,940.
so 94. So that is probably an appropriate item to account for when we're talking about the overall package.
Right.
There's
Right.
this happening from a lease agreement perspective. There's this happening from tax incentive, and there's what might be the last conservate or CPA funded project for White Cliffs, but it would be good to give that kind of full accounting. And then to the extent that that's, a contribution from the town to help them along, get full quantitative and qualitative credit for
Right,
having that. If
exactly.
that project goes through, that's what I can remember from kind of additional pieces and parts. Okay, thank you. That I didn't have any additional questions. So I'll throw it back around to everyone. So what we want to have an idea of, Terry providing some questions on financial information and credit worthiness
Mhm.
of business. That's then something that we can get the answers for and provide back that to the committee. When would I don't want to say final, but let me say final version of both the lease agreement and the TIF be available for then our review? Like, what should we think about in terms of
I'm
timing to set the
okay.
schedule for our next meeting?
So I'm hoping, let's see, we're at September 15th right now. I mean, we're so close. It could be Friday. I don't know. It could be Friday, but it depends on how quickly their attorney gets back to us. Like I said, I just got their initial revisions back. Yeah, so, but to be uh, to be more careful with the date, I would say the end of September. Like, we could use September 30th as and then, I mean, at that point, would be into October, where we're going to have one more public information session, which will be a lot more final than, the information put forth at September 22nd's meeting.
Okay, I like the idea that there's another public information center, because one approach, this is where I'm thinking, is at the session on the 22nd,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to hear more from the public that could inform our deliberation and our recommendations
Yep.
on these items. Then if we, in between that public session, we have our meeting for deliberation and the vote on a recommendation, then our recommendation can inform the second public information session.
Yep.
Does that make sense what I said there, right? It's like, we've gathered public input from the 22nd. We've had a chance to discuss it as the committee, provide a preliminary report that then, is kind of reflected back into the next public session, and they hear then our opinion on that. And then, John, I don't know if a similar kind of timeline and things happen from a financial planning committee perspective.
Yes, unfortunately, this week, a half of my committee is out of the country, so I don't have a quorum. So as soon as we can calendar some dates, Jason and Stephanie, we can get the committee rallied up and do the same thing. Yes.
So then, do you have a thought on when that second public session would be? Like which week that would occur?
So we're having a select board meeting October 6th. Jason, did we choose a date? Do you remember we had all those dates in front of us and I'm just trying to think. October 6th is our next select board meeting. I'm trying to think of what is on the agenda because we could possibly have it then, or because I think our next one would be too late. That would be, not that it has to be on a select board night. I'm just saying to get, you know.
Yeah, I know, like we were talking about this before, and sorry to go on a tangent, but the when the whole idea of the special town meeting was being scheduled, the amount of logistics and the number of dates that ended up on our timeline was kind of immense. It's kind of really overwhelming to see what it takes to put together a timeline to get to a town meeting through all, like adding these meetings and so forth. So let me try to find our timeline. And
Because with a November 3rd, what's
Yeah.
our deadline for a booklet to printer?
but yeah, so we have to back into a lot of other deadlines to get to that date.
You know,
Um,
nominally a couple weeks on that would take us to the 20th. If you did do the week of the 6th or the second public info, it implies the week of the 29th for our next meeting. And what I'm hoping, friends, is that we would have a dedicated meeting to our deliberation and hopefully vote recommendation. We'd come into that meeting with the structure of the report such that it'd be pretty clear where to insert our deliberation discussion, and in the course of our meeting, we'll hopefully have some clear phrases. And then like we've done on our other reports, take a vote on allowing myself and Jason to finalize
so,
that
Scott,
document.
on the timeline, we put October 9th as being the deadline to finalize
Yeah,
the two bodies reports.
I was just looking at that.
Um,
So I would
And
That
say
was when it
Tuesday,
was the November
10/6.
3rd.
and the meeting's for November 3rd. So we have the date of November 9th as a deadline to need the final reports from the committees to end up in the warrant book.
So I'm gonna say we should shoot for 10/6 for the next public meeting, information session.
Yeah. So,
Because it would need to
I'm
be
still
before
with,
the reports.
yeah, the week of the 29th for this committee to meet.
Okay,
That gives us the balance of this week for documents to be finalized. The input from the public on the 22nd. And the behind the scenes preparation of the, structure of the report such that we could come in
I mean,
either late the week of the 22nd or midweek on the week of the 29th.
yeah, and to be clear, that's next week. The 22nd is.
Right. So I'm just, so I don't see that we're going to have finalized documents that would call for a meeting this week, and we're already kind of late into this week for agenda posting and all that, right? So I'm just trying to get a feel for our next meeting would be no sooner than the 24th, and more likely to be the following week.
okay,
Which gives time to finalize the document, get some info from the public
right.
on that,
Yeah.
then coordinate our schedule for a meeting.
Okay,
So members, if there are And some of you have provided kind of the dates of non-availability from like the 24th through, I'll even say 24th through the 10th of October, just in case there is a follow-up to finalize the report on our recommendations. So there possibly could be 2 more meetings that we need to coordinate it between the 24th of September and the 10th of October.
Be clear, I'm keeping track of the blackout dates on the schedule as well. So
That sounds great. And I'll forward some of the items that have come to me individually. And then as any of your personal schedules change, just keep us up to date on that. All right. John, question.
Comment for Jason. Jason, we should talk about putting an email out to the committee suggesting dates and getting feedback on availability. We should do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Even though I do have 3 people traveling this week, let's get it done and get it in people's top of mind, please. Thank you.
One more chance if there's any additional questions or comments about either the lease or the TIF. I like the simplification of the TIF. That's much more understandable in that table form. So thanks
Yes,
for
it was.
that.
Yep.
Or additional information we need other than final versions of the 2 documents and some financial background for Elegant Banquets. Any other information we would need for our deliberation? Excellent.
Yeah, you're gonna get
Yeah.
all of what we have, so, yeah.
I think we're in good shape there. Let me just think forward. Because it was in the packet, I don't know, I'll just open it up. You see the wording that's going to be used on each of the articles, namely Article 1 on the lease and the conveyance. I don't know, is that the right term? Article 2 is the financing agreement. And then for reference, Article 3 is zoning bylaw. And then we may have additional articles after that. Those are pretty straightforward motions and explanations. Any questions, any comments on those? Seeing none, I think we're ready to move on to any additional business to come before the committee. I don't know of any there. That's excellent. And then for future business, one thing I put on the agenda is to take advantage of a new budget cycle and new committee membership. So agenda on our next meeting, I'd like to put reorganization, an opportunity to reselect the chair, vice chair, and clerk. So we'll have that on the agenda for the next bit. And then we'll set then our next meeting to focus on the review and deliberation on those 2 documents and the creation of our compiling our comments, our recommendation, and the vote. And then everything will then drive towards getting that document into the booklet. And we've talked about the meeting dates coming up. Any final words before I call for a motion to adjourn? Steph, anything from you? Any other?
No, just thank you for working with us. It's great.
Thanks for summarizing. I know it was a moving target, so summarizing in the memo was great. Gave us at least enough to know that the financial terms are locked in.
Right.
Soon to be locked in. So that's great to see. And we look forward to the finalized bit. And our next bit on next Monday as well. All right, I'll call it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
That was Jeff. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Terry. Thank you both. This will be our last roll call vote of the evening. George.
Aye.
Thank you, Tim.
Aye.
Terry.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Mona.
Aye.
And Scott is also an aye. Thank you very much for the effort this evening. Appreciate it. It's good to see everybody. Have a good rest of your week.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Good
all.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Night.